to Beyond the Pulpit, exploring the life and ministry of Walnut Creek Church downtown. Walnut Creek Church exists to glorify God by making authentic disciples of Jesus Christ who love and worship Him in all they do. Well, all right, welcome to Beyond the Pulpit. My name is Derek Wadley, and I'm joined here by Luke Hookey. Say hi, Luke.
Hey, y'all.
And Dan Rude. Say hi, Dan.
What's up, everybody?
And this last weekend, we started studying Romans 14 at church, and within that time, we got into the idea of there being some disputable matters that Christians may have some convictions on. Maybe they don't have convictions on, things they've thought through, not thought through, but they can become a source of tension between two believers, within the church. And so after that time, I think a few of us had some conversations where people wanted maybe a little bit more clarity about what are some disputable matters. So Dan, what are disputable matters?
Yeah, it's a good question. It's a
disputable matter.
It's a disputable matter. Yeah, that's exactly right. That's right. In Romans 14, Paul's aiming at the unity of the church. He says in verse 19 that we are to pursue what promotes peace within the church and the edification of the body. Mm-hmm. And so Paul is aiming at unity and the fruitfulness of believers. And I think most of us have on our radar two threats to the unity and fruitfulness of a church. I think most of us are aware that false teaching is a threat, mm-hmm. and undealt with sin is a threat, but there is a threat that flies under the radar, and that is strong convictions on disputable matters. Mm-hmm. I was reading Tom Rainer this week, and he was talking about how throughout church history, disputable matters, strong convictions on disputable matters are often tear churches apart. And this is part of Paul's warning in Romans 14, verse 20, when he says, don't tear down the work of God for the sake of food, over food. Yeah. And no one would say, I'm going to tear down the church because my conviction's on food, but it can happen. And so it is a difficult thing for churches to wrestle through. What will our convictions be? What will my convictions be when it comes to following Christ? And so maybe just a little more clarity on what a disputable matter is. When Paul is talking about a disputable matter, he's not talking about an issue of sin. So if I said my conviction is that I want to steal from my neighbors, Paul would say that's not a disputable issue. Mm-hmm. It's not an issue of doctrinal clarity. We are not free as Christians to say that Jesus did not rise from the dead, or that the Bible is not the Word of God, mm-hmm. or that you're saved multiple ways, or Jesus isn't God. Man. Yeah. That this is so a disputable issue is not an issue of doctrinal clarity, and it's not an issue of gospel purity. Mm-hmm. So, Paul has very, very strong. He uses very strong language to deal with false teachers. Yeah. And so I think that helps to establish the framework. It's not a disputable matter, it's not an issue of clear sin or doctrinal or integrity or gospel purity. And so it's an area of life where two Christians can look at the same issue. So the issue of food in Romans 14, mm-hmm. or drinking alcohol. I think that gets brought in as well at the end of chapter 14, and Paul addresses that in 1 Corinthians 8. So you can look at the same issue, reach different conclusions or different convictions, and still both honor God. Mm-hmm. That's how I would describe a disputable matter. And there's almost an endless supply of disputable matters in the Christian life. Luke, are there any disputable matters that you think about every once in a while?
How the length of my hair.
The length of my hair.
I don't know, like if, is
or
there
beard length.
Oh, beard length. Yeah, my tassel length.
Right. Whether or not I should comb said beard.
Do I put, is it beard oil or wax?
Or wax, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I don't know.
I know, those are big issues.
Big issues in life. No, there are an endless supply of disputable matters. You brought up, alcohol. Should Christians drink? Should they not? I mean, even the Sabbath. What day should we worship God? Sunday, or is it open to any day? That's been an area of
huge
dispute, and even in some ways, not directly in Romans 14, but it kind of segues there.
It bleeds
quickly.
Into it,
bleeds into it because of the holy days they're debating over. Or another one is technology. Like when it comes to the use of technology or smartphone, no smartphone,
Yes.
what do you do? So I think there's as you said, an endless supply of disputable matters.
No doubt. No doubt. Yeah, it's huge. It's a huge issue in the Christian life. And so, a couple of weeks ago, we talked with Sean McDowell about pornography and what's happening in the world and what's happening in the church as it relates to pornography. And one of the most common ways people view pornography is on their phone. It's the number one device on their smartphone. And so we thought it could be good to get into the topic of technology, Christians and technology. And, I think all of us would agree that the Word of God has much to say to us about every area of life, including technology.
Yes.
Okay, but what does he say? What are God's instructions for us as it relates to technology? And so we know God is speaking to us.
They wrote the Ten Commandments on tablets. So I think
therefore
we're supposed to use stone.
Use your iPad.
Nailed it.
Which is a tablet.
Okay. Gosh, good point.
Disputable matter.
I knew it's biblical.
There we go.
It's biblical.
And so Christians are going to reach different convictions. They're going to come to different convictions about the use of technology. And even when you talk about technology, it's an enormous category. I mean, our lives are dominated. I know, dominated. Our lives are dominated by technology. And in one sense, that's really good. I mean, it's awesome. There's so many wonderful things that come from it, but there are also many dangers that come along with smartphones and social media, and there are traps. So there's just like anything, it can be used for good, or it can be used. It can be used for evil. And so we thought this morning we might just pass on a few principles to get us going on the topic of Christians in technology. Luke, do you have principle number 1 here for us?
Yeah. One, I think, helpful principle is just actually think about the usage of your smartphone. So I think phones in particular, just think about how often are you using your phone? As we were just talking about a few minutes before, is that it's easy just to kind of mindlessly take your phone out of your pocket. You're on it. You're just using it. You don't put much thought into why it's coming out of your pocket or whatever, why you're opening it up. Oftentimes it's just kind of mindless. Like it's muscle memory or, soul memory or whatever. Like I'll find myself
like a soul addiction.
Yeah. I'm guilty. Like I find myself opening my phone. There's been plenty of times where I open it up and I'm like, I don't even know why I unlocked my phone. I'm staring at the screen and I'm trying to find a reason for why.
I know.
It's like,
and I'm like, give me one good reason.
And I'm
one
like,
good reason.
And my home screen that has the app suggestions, I'm like, nah, those aren't the reasons. No. So I don't know why. And it always, when that happens, I'm like, oh man, it just shows like the level of addiction or whatever you want to call it, to our phones. We're so used to just being on them or on some device on a regular basis, and we just don't even think about it. Like, I hate that. It makes me feel like, I don't know, just foolish and whatever. Because I'm like, I want to have more intentionality and purpose for my life, and so I think one thing I just thought is good to think about is like thinking about how often I'm using it, or talking to other people about, like, if you're married, your spouse, or if you have roommates, your roommates, like, hey, like, how often do you notice me just on my phone? Like, do you think it's a problem or whatever it might be?
Yeah.
So I don't know what you guys would say, but I think that's like, that is just actually engaging with, okay, mentally, like I'm thinking about how often I'm on it and taking it out. And why I'm pulling out of my pocket is a really big question.
Yeah, it's a huge question, and I think the principle is our encouragement for you as your pastors is that you would think about your usage of technology, that you wouldn't just go with the flow, but you would actually think about it. And verse 5, Romans 14, verse 5, Paul says, one person judges one day to be more important than another. Someone else judges every day to be the same. And then Paul says, let each one be fully convinced in his own mind. It's like Paul's saying you should make up your mind about Are you going to eat or not eat? Are certain days holier than other days? And that he's talking about a disputable matter. And obviously, technology it takes up so much of our time and energy. It dominates our lives. And so I think this is one area where Christians would be wise to build some convictions on the usage of technology. I read one study this week from 2024. They surveyed 1,000 Americans, and the study said that the average American now checks their phone a staggering 205 times a day. Mm-hmm. The average American checks their phone 205 times a day.
See, what I don't like about that stat is that feels light, which means that which means that I'm on the high end and not the low end.
Average American means we're including the infants in the world who are not on their phone.
Including my kids.
I don't know what age range that's including, but
Derek, you've checked your phone 8 times since we started this podcast. I've noticed.
I forgot we were even in here.
Yeah, but
you're doing a podcast.
But you should think about it. That's what we want to say to you. You should think about it and build some convictions over your phone.
Yeah, right. And maybe even just think about when you use it.
What
are some times maybe you're not going to? Because I think the problem is often we're on it too much. And so how could I build some time into my life where I'm not going to be on it?
Yeah.
And so I think thinking about convictions about in that sense of when am I not going to use my phone versus it's just whenever.
It's just when
Yeah. If I feel like it or not, or when I'm bored or not. Well, I think oftentimes we're just going by the feeling of our flesh and kind of we're not thinking about it. And I think part of thinking about it actually would mean, hey, when am I going to just put my phone over in the corner and not look at it?
Yeah.
And not touch it.
Yeah, there's Andy Crouch and the TechWise family. I think one of the more helpful things that he says is that your phone goes to bed before you do.
Yeah. Yep.
And so, that's something that it's easy.
Easier said than done.
It's really easy to read it and be like, oh, that makes sense. But it's just one of those things too. That's even if you're especially if you're a parent, at the end of the day, it's kind of like, well, I have 100 notifications I have to catch up on or something like that. Yep. Or it's me time.
It's me time.
Yikes.
It's me time.
Yeah, don't do that.
Yeah, and something I would encourage you to do too, if you're married or if you have roommates. My wife and I, we have 100% total freedom at any time. We don't have to explain ourselves. We can just look at each other and say, "Get off your phone." Mm-hmm. We can just do that. And our rule is we won't be upset with each other. We're not going to be mad at each other. Mm-hmm. But it's just an act of love, and I think it's good because sometimes what happens, you're with people. Maybe we can be on both sides of this, but you're with someone and you're like, "Can you just get off your phone?" But you can't say it because it's
offensive.
It can be offensive. So just have people around you. Just give them freedom to say, if I'm on my phone and I just look like an idiot, I'm just wasting my time. Just tell me, get off my phone.
Right. Yep.
Just tell me.
Right.
It's and So that would be the first principle.
That's great.
Yeah.
The first principle is think about what you're going to do with your phone, with technology. Mm-hmm. And I think if you're parents, if you are parents and you have kids, this really applies to you individually and also to your family.
Yep.
Because if you don't think about it and you let your guard down, the natural drift will be more and more and more technology usage in your home. Mm-hmm. And the line that we have to walk as Christians is we could say, phones are from the devil.
Never.
Never. You don't even look at a phone until you're 25, son. Yep. You there is no phone. Technology is from the devil. Or the other mistake is to say that phones and technology, social media, it's a totally neutral space. Mm-hmm. But that is not true. That is not true, though.
It's not true.
It's
not neutral at all.
It is not. It's not a neutral space, and so even if
it's as neutral as water in a river.
I know it is pulling us. Those algorithms, I don't know how they work exactly, but they work, and they know what we want. And
That's the point. They don't want you to know.
I know.
Right. And
Are you reading my
they
mind?
Everywhere.
I know.
Yeah.
They know everything about us, and so it is designed to pull us and move us in a certain direction.
Yep.
And I feel like our kids they're more prone to get sucked into that even than us. We can get sucked into it, no doubt. I'm vulnerable. We are vulnerable, but our kids are even more vulnerable. And so you want to do a good job thinking through the scriptures, praying, seeking God, and just being intentional about your technology use. Okay, principle number 2. Who's got that?
I got it.
Yeah.
You want to get some data on yourself. Get some real data on your life and your phone usage. So there's a lot in the world of technology, but I think that for the sake of this conversation, we're talking about our phones, and that's one of those things like Luke was talking about is ask your spouse, ask your roommate, ask a friend, like, how often am I on my phone when I'm with you? And like, does it contribute to our time together? And even on your phone, it'll tell you how many times you picked it. Just how many times you picked it up and looked at it. It'll tell you how many hours you spent on it.
Do you know what I do when that notification comes up?
Ignore it.
Swipe left.
I do not want to see this.
And it really isn't because of that. It always comes up at like an inconvenient time, like Sunday mornings at church. Is like when it pops up.
Generally right before I'm like about to welcome everybody.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. There's multiple times when I'm like going to go preach and you're like, it pops up. I'm like, well, this is an inconvenient time. But yes, it does do that for you. Yeah.
That's right.
Don't do what I do on that front. Yeah.
Yeah. Getting data on yourself.
Conviction.
It will help us. It helps us.
It's like looking in a mirror.
It's like looking
or standing on a scale.
Standing on a scale.
You need to get some real data because I think we're always prone to think it's not that bad. It's not that bad. And I don't even know what bad is necessarily because there's lots of justifiable reasons to be on your phone. So if you're like, if your Bible app is like the number one app you're using, and that's whatever. But one thing, but it's like at least gives us some real content about like, okay, how often am I on this thing?
Yeah.
And it's pretty alarming when I do look at it. I'm like, man, that's pretty crazy.
I read it.
Am I really on it that much?
I read a study about speed limits.
Why you shouldn't follow them?
Speed suggestions.
Speed suggestions, no, speed limits, and how if
is that a disputable matter?
I don't want to get into it, Luke.
9 is fine.
Under.
Oh, no.
Certainly.
Oh no. We've lost the path here.
Back on. Okay.
And how it's fascinating to me about how our brains work. So if a speed limit sign is posted, so 35, 45, whatever, that doesn't slow people down. Okay. So what slows people down? It's when
the cop pulls up right behind you.
When the cop
Or is it coming down the exit you're about to drive by?
I guess that's right. I guess that's one way. The other way is that it's when there are those signs that tell you how fast you are going.
Yes, that's why they're all over my neighborhood.
That's
in Windsor
why.
Heights.
And the reason is that they
brake check hard.
That's exactly right. And it's so interesting. It is so interesting to me because when you see how fast you're going, that assumes that you don't know how fast you're going already, but you do know how fast you're going. But it's like when it gets posted, when you see more publicly how fast you're going, and those signs are often by the speed limit, then you realize, oh no, I'm going too fast.
Unless you drive a 2004 GMC Yukon where the speedometer does not work.
The speedometer doesn't
work. Oh, thank you for your service.
Thank you. I appreciate you letting me know how fast I'm going.
That's right. And so that there's something about that in our psyche that actually getting a picture of ourselves, actually getting information about what we are currently doing, it matters a lot. It matters a lot. And so I think if you just get some data, when you're thinking through, because principle 1 is think through how you're going to use technology. Think through your convictions there. What would really honor God? What would be wise and righteous? And then second, when you get some data on yourself, I think that exposes a lot in our souls, and just taking a look in the mirror. And because something I tell myself all the time, I just don't have enough time. I just don't have enough time. And I feel that. And I think the first place we should check, where could we maybe get some of our time back? It's not like playing cards with our kids. It's not, we're not short on time because we're just spending too much time in prayer, or serving people. Yeah. It's probably the first place we're going to get some time back. It's probably by maybe instead of spending 9 hours a day, you spend 8 hours a day, you get an hour back, or whatever it is, But you won't even come onto our radar until we start thinking about what we're going to do with technology, and then we get some data on ourselves.
Yeah, and the data in some ways helps us even see we need to get some convictions.
We need to get some convictions.
In some ways, I don't know which one's first here, get the data or think about your convictions, because in some ways the data can help drive the fact, okay, I need to develop some convictions here. And at the same time, we should just develop convictions about every area of life that is, not clearly defined in God's word.
Yeah, a lot of times the data is going to expose what your convictions actually are. Yeah. It's one thing to say like, oh yeah, like we have this total phone-free zone in our home, but then it's like I ask my wife, okay, so how often did I use my phone at the dinner table? And it's like, you've been on the phone the entire time at dinner.
What you're looking at your phone right now.
You didn't even look at me to ask that question. So it's like the data, will help. We need to think about it, but the data will help expose what our thinking actually is, because our behavior is always going to be the most direct reflection of what we actually believe in the moment. And we can always say when we're not on our phone, this is what I think about my phone.
Yeah, it's like
can I pick that up though?
In our men's Bible study we're piloting, we're going through 1 John, and John gets into that reality of you can say one thing, but what you do is actually proof of what is true about you. So you can say you believe, but if you're not loving your brother or sister, you don't really believe. And so I think in a similar sense, we can say lots of things about what we think about our phones and usage and all that stuff, but sometimes getting the data, it really clarifies if that's true or not in practice.
That's right.
All right, number 3, here we go.
Number 3, Dan.
Number 3, win the moment. Win the moment. And what I mean by that is my phone and your phone are the most powerful distraction devices the world has ever known. Mm-hmm. There is nothing that can distract my soul like my phone.
Oh man!
And I think the Lord Jesus, he wants us first and foremost to walk with Him, which requires my mind.
That's right.
It requires my being. It's not just being physically at church or being at Bible study or whatever. It's actually engaging, my soul engaging in the worship of Christ. And so that requires us to have a distraction for our souls to limit distractions as much as we can. One verse I was thinking about, we were just discussing this before we started to record, is Ephesians chapter 5, verse 15. Now, Paul says, "Pay careful attention then to how you walk, not as unwise people, but as wise, making the most of the time because the days are evil. So don't be foolish, but understand what the Lord's will is." And I think that this passage, it applies to so many different areas, but it certainly applies to how we use our phones. And so that little phrase, "win the moment," it's the idea of just being in the moment, be in the moment. And this principle, it applies to your job, it applies to your parenting, it applies to your friendships. Just be in the moment. Be in the moment with people. If someone's talking to you, put your phone down. Listen to them. If you're talking with your wife, your spouse, your friends, just put your phone down. Just be in the moment with people. And when your mind is saying, "I want to be in the moment with people, I want to honor God, I want to love people," it helps to. At least it helps me to stay off my phone, because if I'm not doing anything, I'm just like, my mind is not occupied. I'm not trying to do anything. If I'm not trying to commune with the Lord or love people or whatever, my mind is going to drift towards my phone. That's what happens. Yeah. And so just saying, I want to be in the moment with people. I want to love them. And we have such an opportunity because everybody is distracted. Everyone is living distracted lives. And one of the best ways to love people is to give them your attention.
That's right.
Give them your attention. Listen to them.
Yeah.
Yep.
Look at them.
Yeah.
Look at them. Yeah.
I was thinking about that, like with my kids. It's like my kids have like called me out, be like, "Hey, could you put your phone down and actually look at this thing that I asked you to look at?" I'm like, "Oh, that's terrible." Like, and it's like that was like I lost that moment with my son. But it's like the moment that they can say like, "Hey, look at me," and they actually have your eyes on them. It's like that's a win. They feel that they're more important than your phone or your friends are more important. You know?
Yeah. And I think a good practice with this even, because life happens and you got to respond to people and all that stuff. And but I think just a little practice. I don't want to push my convictions on other people.
Bind their conscience.
Yeah. I don't want to bind anyone's conscience, but I think just this may or may not be helpful. If you're going to if you're with someone, you got to use your phone. Just tell them what you're doing. Yeah. Tell them what you're doing. So if Derek, if we're talking and something pops up, I get something I need to respond to or whatever. Or before we even sit down, just say, "Hey, I'm going to get a text message. I need to respond to someone." And I think that helps set the conditions right. I mean, you don't want to do that all the time, but like, just tell people what you're doing.
Right.
Yeah, because sometimes you're like, are you just like looking at Amazon or what? Are you? So I think if someone says, "Hey, I didn't respond to my wife really quick," people are like more than happy to be like, "Oh, okay, no problem." Yeah. But if it's just like I'm perusing, and
I'm just distracted.
I can double task with no problem. Yeah, I can look at my phone and listen to exactly what you're saying. It's like, no, that doesn't work that way. Yeah.
Right.
Be in the moment. I think that's it. Especially if you're in a workplace where you have meetings and whatnot, it's like, I think a good practice, it's only be on technology if the meeting requires you really to be on technology.
No doubt.
Right.
Or like at our dinner table at home, I'm sure you guys are the same way. Like we just don't have any technology at our tables, and it's very rare if my wife or I are on our phone while we're eating together. Yeah. Like there's something, and to your point, we'd say, "Hey, I need to like go respond to this really quick or something." But that's pretty rare. Usually we don't even do that.
Yeah.
So I think you can build a lot of practices out of that idea of winning the moment. What does that look like in maybe specific contexts?
Yeah. Even if you have that mentality, if you're at work and you go into a meeting and just saying, I'm not going to be on my phone. I don't know what everyone's work culture is, but a lot of times what ends up happening, is the first 5 minutes before the meeting starts, everyone's sitting there and they're just on their phone. But just even saying like, I'm not going to be on my phone. I'm just going to talk to someone for 5 minutes while we're waiting. I'm not going to just, and sometimes I fool myself saying, I gotta, those few minutes, I really need to get caught up on life, or I need to do these things, or I got to check the news or whatever. And it's like, just put it down. Just engage with people. Engage with people. And so this is a huge topic, technology for Christians, and it's a huge topic. And so people are going to have different convictions, and that's good. That's a good thing. But
just need to be well thought through.
We want to encourage everybody.
Be fully convinced.
Yeah. Think through your convictions on technology. Actually build them. Don't go with the flow. Get some data on yourself. Win the moment.
Here we go.
Great.
Win the moment.
Great.